In today's video, I'm going to be doing my top 10 duos in the NBA right now. So going into the 2021 and 22 season. About 6 months ago, I posted my all-time top 10 duos list. If you'd like, you guys can go check that one out as well. But right now, I'm going to be going through my top 10 duos of right now. I think this is a really interesting discussion that we've had a lot in the past years, but not really a lot during this season. And I think the duos right now in the NBA are very interesting, and it was definitely a very tough list to make. Now, before we get started with this video, I do have to clarify that duos like Kawhi Leonard and Paul George and Jokic and Jamal Murray, I won't be including these because Kawhi and Jamal Murray are most likely going to miss almost all of next season, if not all of it, so I'm going to keep them out, but pretty much all the duos that are going to be relatively healthy going into next season, I'm going to keep in. So let's get started. Starting off with 3 honorable mentions that I have who just missed out on the list. We've got Luka and Kristaps Porzingis, who should probably be in the top 10, but Kristaps had a really tough year last year, a horrible playoff performance, and in my opinion probably isn't even a top 50 player, so mostly because of his poor season, they're just missing out on the list. We've got Nikola Jokic and Michael Porter Jr., who's now the duo mate if Jamal Murray's going to be out for a while, and MPJ really just needs to prove that he can do something other than scoring for this duo to make the list. They're not a very good defensive duo at all. Offensively, this is a very, very good and underrated, in my opinion, duo here, but I don't think they're good enough yet to make the top 10. And then we also got Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram, who I think individually talented as a duo are a top 10 duo, but as a duo together, they haven't even made the playoffs yet or the play-in tournament, and they haven't really proved anything yet, and they don't work as well together as some of the other duos on this list, but I think definitely they'll be at least in the top 10 at the end of next season and certainly in the future of the NBA. Coming in at number 10, I've got Trae Young and Clint Capella, and individually as a duo, these two probably aren't necessarily a top 10 duo, but they just complement each other so well and work so well together really on both ends of the floor, and had such a good playoff run last year as a duo that I think they have to at least be in the top 10 here. I mean, offensively, they're one of the best pick and roll duos in the NBA. Trae's playmaking going very well with Capella's inside game, and Clint's screening going really well alongside Trae's elite perimeter shooting and scoring ability out there. And really overall, Trae's one of the best playmakers in the game. Last year led the league in box creation with about 18 per game, which is how many open shots you create for your teammates per game, and also had 9.5 assists per game in both the regular season and the playoffs, and a lot of those were lobs up to the rim at Clint Capella. And obviously they're a very good pick and roll duo offensively, and defensively Clint Capella is really the main centerpiece of this Hawks defense. Everything goes through him, and he's the main pick and roll defender and rim protector, and the Hawks are able to hide Trae Young's defense defensively. He's not a good defender, but they are able to hide it, and Clint Capella's defense is able to make up for Trae's bad defense. So overall, on both ends of the floor, they fit really well together as a duo and had a really good playoff run last season as a team. Number 9, I've got Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum, and obviously these two have been a duo for a while, who I like to call them the mini Splash Brothers or the Splash Brothers Jr., because that's just what they really are. I mean, these two are obviously two certified bucket getters who last year combined for 52 points per game between the two, Dame putting up 29 points per game last season, and CJ putting up about 23 points per game, and really they've been doing this for the last 5 and a bit years now, but really, it's really unfortunate that they're not really able to get much done in the playoffs because they're a very good duo, but they're not necessarily an elite duo, and their supporting cast has never been good enough to succeed at a very high level in the playoffs, but they still go very well together. Both of these guys last year almost shot 40% from 3 on very high volume. Their shooting goes well together. They know where each other are on the court all the time, and especially Damian Lillard is a very underrated playmaker and is able to find CJ on the perimeter a lot of the time. And really, they just are the Splash Brothers Jr., but there's no secret that especially right now, they don't really stand out as that elite type of duo, and they wouldn't be able to make the top 5, for example. At number 8, I've got Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and both of these guys are obviously young players that have proved that they could succeed in the NBA playoffs as well as a duo at very young points in their career. I mean, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown last year combined for over 50 points per game in the regular season as a duo, and are very good defensively as well. Both of these guys are about the same height, are pretty versatile defensively, especially Jaylen Brown is turning into one of the better on-ball defenders in the game right now. Both of these guys can pretty much defend 1 through 4, and offensively they can create their own shot, score at a high level, have very good volume scoring, and can also shoot the 3 at a very high level. I mean, both of these guys aren't necessarily great playmakers, and I think if they add that component to their game, they could rank even higher on this list if they get their teammates involved a little bit more. And I really do think that they are going to have to lead and carry this Celtics team next year as a duo, and right now they've certainly proved themselves that they're a top 8 duo in the league right now. Coming in at number 7, I've got Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, and I think after the end of last year, this duo definitely would have been considered a top 5 duo in the NBA, but they have to drop a little bit after their very poor playoff performance, and how both of them have the inability to shoot the 3, and this was really exposed, especially last year in the playoffs, and has to factor, unfortunately, a lot into this ranking, but still, this is definitely a very good and at least top 10 duo in the NBA right now. They're both very good defenders. Jimmy Butler, a very good on-ball defender, and at least a top 15 defender in my opinion overall, and I think Bam Adebayo is honestly at least a top 5 defender in the game right now, if not top 3, with his amazing rim protection, pick and roll defense, and also his versatility and his ability to switch on the perimeter and effectively guard out there as a big man. And also offensively, both of these guys are very good playmakers as well. Jimmy's self-explanatory. I mean, last year he's a very good passer as well, averaged 7 assists per game, and the Heat are at their best when they run their offense through Bam. He's a very good screener, has good court vision and passing as well, and overall on both sides of the floor, this duo right here is still very good and is still a top 7 duo. At number 6, I've got Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. Another duo here who's a center and guard duo who work very well together on both ends of the floor. Donovan Mitchell being that incredible type of scorer and Rudy Gobert being one of the best defenders in the game right now. And offensively, they go well together as a pick and roll duo. They work very well together offensively. Donovan Mitchell does a really good job of using Rudy Gobert's very effective screens, using that to create open shots for himself and creating shots for Gobert as well down near the rim. And overall last season, Donovan Mitchell averaged about 26 points per game in the regular season and also 32 points per game in the playoffs, and a lot of this credit should go to Rudy Gobert too, with his very good screening ability, and also offensively how he's a very good offensive rebounder and very efficient down low. And on the defensive side of the floor, Mitchell's still a good perimeter defender, but again, just like I talked about with Trey and Capella, the Jazz defense is pretty much run through Rudy Gobert. He's that main rim protector and pick and roll defender on the team, and his defense is very effective for this team and the main reason they had such a good defense last year. So Mitchell's incredible offensively, Gobert's incredible defensively, and on both ends of the floor they work really well together, and last year led this team to being the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. At number 5, kicking off the top 5, I've got Devin Booker and Chris Paul, a duo who led their team to the NBA Finals last season, are an extremely good offensive duo together, and I love these guys as a duo together. I think Chris Paul really rubs off on Devin Booker, and I think both of these guys are at least top 20 players in the game right now, and both have a case to be considered top 15 players as well. I talked a lot about this duo in depth in my recent video about the Phoenix Suns, so be sure to check that out as well. But pretty much to summarize, these guys are so good at operating in the mid-range area, which is so important in today's NBA, since a lot of good defenses like to live with that type of shot and allow that shot to be taken. They're very good at running the pick and roll with their big men and DeAndre Ayton, and both of these guys are decent defensively as well and decent perimeter defenders, and they're turning into very good playmakers as well. I mean, Chris Paul's always been one of the best playmakers in the game, and Booker's improving that playmaking as well, and especially offensively but also defensively. I think this duo is at least a top 5 duo right now, especially after what they proved last season making in the NBA Finals. Number 4, I've got Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, the Splash Brothers. And if we're being honest, this is one of the greatest duos of all time, but they're so hard to rank right now because we haven't seen Klay Thompson play in 2 years, and we really don't know how he's going to come back. So the 3 duos I put ahead of them are guys that have already proved that they can win as a duo at a very high level in the NBA right now, and proved that over the last couple of years. So this is no disrespect to Steph and Klay putting them at 4. I'm just waiting to see how the season plays out to see where I actually should rank them. But in terms of what I expect for them, I think Steph Curry is the best player in the NBA right now. I won't go in depth on that. Be sure to check out the video I made on that. And I think Klay Thompson will still probably come back, and I don't think it'll be the same, especially defensively, coming off an ACL and an Achilles injury, and his off-ball movement and all that kind of stuff that requires mobility. I don't think it's going to be exactly the same, but I still expect Klay to be probably at least a top 30 player, if not a top 25 player, because I think he's still going to be one of the best, if not the best, catch and shooters in the game. I mean, we've seen what he's done over the course of his career shooting the basketball, and I think that's definitely going to keep up. And overall, this is still easily going to be the best shooting duo in the NBA, and I think they have to still rank at least top 4 because of what they've done overall in their careers, the championships they won as a duo, and just how good of a shooting duo they really are, and how they are still the Splash Brothers. Number 3, I've got Giannis and Chris Middleton, and we might see that Steph and Klay are still a better duo than these guys, but I have a lot of trouble putting the duo that just won the NBA championship not in the top 3. I mean, these two together offensively in the pick and roll are pretty much unstoppable, with Chris's outside game, his outside scoring, shooting, and also his mid-range game, combined with his playmaking and also Giannis's playmaking when he's kicking it out to Chris on the perimeter, and Giannis's obviously incredible interior and dominant inside scoring. And defensively, Chris Middleton proved last year that he's definitely an over-average defender, a good perimeter defender, and Giannis is one of the top 5 defenders in the game right now for sure, with his versatility, his amazing rim protection, and overall this duo is absolutely, in my opinion, a top 3 duo in the game right now, and completely proved that last season by leading their team to the NBA championship. Number 2, I've got Kevin Durant and James Harden, and these two right here, I think individually right now should probably be considered the number 1 duo in the NBA, but they don't fit as well together as the guys that I have at number 1. I mean, really the Nets' entire big 3 has fit way better together than I expected, and this is nothing against this big 3 or this duo, but you'll see why I have the people at number 1 and why I have them at number 1. But in terms of this duo, this is still 2 top 10 players in the NBA. KD is arguably a top 3 player in the NBA right now. I'm sure pretty much everyone has him there. These two are 2 of the best pure scorers in the game right now, and 2 of the best playmakers as well. Harden last year really took a step back with his scoring ability and took on the role of being the main facilitator and playmaker, was 2nd in the league last year in assists and 3rd in box creation. KD was also top 10 in box creation, averaged around 6 assists per game, and they fit way better together than I expected. We add Kyrie in here. This is obviously probably the best big 3 in the NBA right now. I made a recent video about the Nets and how good I think they could be this season. Be sure to go check that one out as well. But overall, the duo of KD and Harden is just absolutely insane offensively, and I just find it so funny that the 2 Gomers that made up the pizza rolls meme are now arguably the best duo in the NBA. And number 1, I've got LeBron and AD. I mean, at this point, you could really go either way between them and KD and Harden as the best duo in the league right now, but they did prove that they can win a championship. I know both of them are getting, especially LeBron, he's getting older. Both of them are having some struggles with injuries right now, but LeBron is still definitely a top 5 player in the game. AD still easily top 10, and both of them are incredible defensively, and I still think that Anthony Davis is the best defender in the NBA, and I think that's what separates them just a little bit for me between KD and Harden, and also how this duo here works better together. They can run the pick and roll, they communicate better defensively, and I just think they're the slightly better duo right now, and we'll see at the end of the season who crowns the spot as the best duo in the NBA, but right now I'm still giving it to LeBron and AD. So there you have it. That's the end of today's video. Those are my top 10 duos in the NBA going into the 2021-2022 season, so be sure to comment down below your thoughts on today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all next video.